So this is just a basic, it's in your instructions, just basically what we're going to cover in going through cross stitch. The general information here is the same thing that's in your instruction sheet, basically having a basic understanding of how big do you want your crosses to be, how heavy do you want your crosses, what are you going to stitch it on, are you going to stitch it on native cloth, or are you going to start to stitch it on regular fabric. I would probably suggest just doing it on regular fabric. Validating your size, etc. So once we get into the actual creation of the design, I think you'll all start making sense. So let's get started with creating a couple of cross-stitch designs. So the first thing we're going to do is actually to get to cross-stitcher, there's a couple of different ways. One of the ways is actually to come in here and do blank canvas. You don't have to worry about what size hoop it is. That's not a big deal. And go to cross-stitcher, and you can actually select cross-stitcher. It'll take you to the wizard. The other way you can do that is go to File and go to down here, just slide down on here, and you're going to find cross-stitch. You're going to go into cross-stitch. It's going to open it up. Give me a sec. It's going to bring up the wizard. There's 4 different things you can do from here. You can create a quick cross-stitch design from a picture. So in other words, you can take an actual picture and actually import it and or actually bring it up and let it automatically create everything for you, and then you can edit it. We're not going to do that. We're actually going to do load a picture for a new cross-stitch design where we're going to take a cross-stitch pattern that I sent you in your emails and actually bring that into the background, and we're going to create the stitch design from that. We're just going to pick on a couple of simple ones. Load an existing cross-stitch design means that you're going to open a KRZ file, which is a design that was already created in Cross-Stitcher, but that we want to make modifications to. We'll talk about that more near the end. Start a new cross-stitch design with absolutely no picture. You're going to be the artist. You're going to do it all. So what we're going to do is we're just going to do load a picture for a new cross-stitch design. So we're going to take a picture. We're going to load a picture. So the first one we're going to pick on is the snowman. So let's pick on the snowman. And again, this is just a pattern. It is just a picture of a pattern, and we're going to load it in our background. We're going to do OK. So there's our little snowman that we're going to start creating. We're going to do next. We need to zoom in and get these little blue squares here so that they are right around the design as closely as possible. So I'm just going to zoom in. And I'm going to take and I'm going to drag this so that I see the outside black lines, but I see there's very minimal white. And I'm going to come over here to the right. We're going to come down here, and again, see how much white we have here. I need to get this so that it's as close to that black line as possible. It may not be perfect, but it's going to give you enough of an idea of what you're going to see. So if your design, so let's say you copied your design, you scanned it in, you did whatever, and it's not quite square, rectangular, doesn't matter. But if it's kind of wapajawed a little bit, you can actually use perspective. We're not going there today. We're going to use good square designs for this. We're going to do next. We're going to go and we're going to set the cross size to 2.5. I'm not going to worry about selecting the hoop because it's automatically going to figure things for me. I can uncheck proportional and actually type this in twice, but this happens to be a perfect square, so we're going to do 30. And so it automatically changed things. I'm going to zoom in and see how good my cross is, how big my grid is. So if this was off, you would see some light grid lines behind there. If you do, and it really bothers you, you can always go back and readjust those blue squares. If it's off a little bit, this is a pretty simple design. You can pretty much do what you need to do with what we've got. The other thing you want to know is this information here is actually how large my design is going to be. So it's going to fit in a 100 by 100 hoop, not a problem. You don't have to worry about that. But this is the size. It's important when you're doing a larger design so that you make sure that you have a hoop that it will fit. Unless you want it really big and then you have to go through the split project wizard. We're not going there. Finish. I now have, this is actually in my background. It is not squares yet. So we're going to have to add some colors. And you should have reviewed your colors. And as you know from the previous classes, blue is always going to be the default color that's going to always show up first. So we're going to just double click on that and we're going to change it to black. This is a pretty simple design. That black is really a navy, but for our purposes for this, it's just knowing that we're going to use a dark color when we do this. The other two colors you have is red and black, or red and white, sorry. And we're just going to hit the little palette down here and we're going to pick on the plus sign. And we need a red, do OK. And then we do that again and we pick on white and do OK. So I now have just the three colors I need. To start adding crosses, we're going to actually go to the Create tab. So, first, I need to talk about this first. We're going to go to Design Properties. Design Properties is actually where you will go in and tell it how heavy do you want your thread count to be. So this is kind of like replacing density. So if your thread is very lightweight, you want to go in and change this because normally it's going to default to a 2, which is 2 threads. It just kind of crosses over, and that's about all it does. Double does a little bit heavier. This does it even heavier. You wouldn't want to get into these until you started doing a larger cross stitch design. 4 is probably pretty good for what we're going to do. It's not too heavy. Triple stitch, this is on the back stitch. I'm going to actually change that to just double. So it's basically just 2 threads going back and forth. If I had chosen this cross size to be a 5.0, which is very large, I would probably want to think about how heavy do I want these threads to be. The other thing to consider is if you are going to use a 20 or a 30 weight thread and you're doing 2.5, you may not want it to double up. It's going to be too heavy. So it's all those things you need to take into consideration when you're creating it. So we're going to do OK. I'm going to go over to the Create tab. On the Create tab, you actually have a couple of different things. We're not going to cover a lot of this. We're just going to do some real basic stuff. If you look, the first color that's selected is black. If I choose the red, it's going to change that to red over here on the side. So this is what my left mouse button, this is what my right mouse button will do. So knowing that that is what those two buttons do on your mouse is really going to become important when you start creating your crosses. Believe me, it works miracles here. All right, so we're going to do full crosses selected, and I'm just going to start clicking in where the T is at, which is our black colors, and I'm just going to start going across, paying attention kind of to the direction that you're doing these, because it will, your machine will actually stitch in pretty much that same, really close to that, not exactly, but I'm going to just kind of fill in the X's all over where that color is at. And I'm going to do the hand and the arm. I'm going to do the hand and the arm. Now I'm going to do the buttons. And I'm going to show you a little trick here. So I've got that selected. So I'm going to go to the Home tab. I'm going to do Box Select. And I'm actually going to click, hold, and drag a box so that it goes around those 4 X's. And it's okay if it's outside. I'm going to zoom in so you can kind of see that a little bit better. I need to have this whole thing here. So if you notice, there is this little box, and I'm actually going to go here, and I'm going to do View, and I'm going to kind of hide this just a little bit. Maybe you can see it better. There you go. All right, so now you can actually see that better. So what I can do from the Home tab is I've now got that selected. I know it's got outside of the edge, outside of those X's, but what it's going to do is that when you do that box select, it has to choose from the grid squares. It doesn't just do inside, just so that you know. I'm going to click on Duplicate. It's going to make me 4 more squares, and I'm going to do Duplicate again, and I'm going to do 4 more squares again. Okay? So I'm going to zoom to fit. I now have my buttons, and I have my face. All the black is done. So now I'm going to pick on the red. I want to make sure I go back to Create, pick on Full Cross, and start doing my red. Red. Again, paying attention to kind of the direction it's kind of going, just to kind of help your machine kind of know what to do. So we're going to do the white, And I'm going to show you a little trick with this one. So all I care about is going on the outside edge where there's X's already. I don't need to drag along here. I'm going to show you this here. So I know that these are, I'm going to darken that up a little bit again so you can actually see that. Again, that's just my picture in the background. And I'm just going to come here. I don't have to go all the way across here because I'm going to show you a trick. I'm going to come here, there, there. So as long as there are X's already drawn, this is going to work fine. So I'm going to do create, and I'm going to do cross flood fill, and I'm going to move. You see I have a little paint bucket on my mouse, and I'm going to just click anywhere as long as my point of my arrow is inside that one of those boxes. I can do click, and it's already filled in automatically. It's really important that you don't have an open space. So I'm just going to show you that real quick. So let's say I'm going to do right mouse, oops, full cross. I'm going to get rid of this one just so you see what happens if I've missed something like this. If I do cross flood fill, I come down here, it's going to fill the whole thing. Don't want that. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to do full cross. I'm going to select this one, cross fill. I'm going to do that, filled it all in beautifully. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the same thing down here. Make sure full cross is selected. I'm going to start selecting, and I'm just going to kind of drag along the outside edge. Takes me a second. It's all enclosed, and it's going to ignore those things that already have X's on it. So I'm going to do a crosshatch or cross flood fill, select in here, click, done. I've got my snowman. I am all completely done. Now, if you wanted to, I'm going to show you this. You can actually add another color. And I'm going to add an orange. I'm going to do a French knot. Make sure orange is selected, French knot is selected, and I'm just going to put a little French knot right there. So he's got an orange nose. That's not in the instructions. That's just an ad that I thought I'd throw in there. So now what we want to do is we're going to save this as two different things. We're going to do the save as. You can go to File and Save As, or just click on your Save As. I'm going to come down here and I'm going to go and grab cross stitch. I'm going to find the folder that I have for the video. There you go. And I'm going to do snowman for video. You notice it's going to save it as a KRZ file. I'm going to do save. And a KRZ file is so that I can open it up at a later time within Cross Stitcher. It'll already be there. So now the next thing I want to do is I want to do an export. Make sure that you have the file format you need for your machine. You can color sort. We're going to do OK. I'm going to go find that folder. It's going to be snowman for video, exported, or whatever you call it. We're going to do export. It's done. So let's do the other one. It's going to be a little bit more complex. It has a few more things and functions that we're going to add to it. We're going to do file. We're going to do new. And as long as you've saved it, as long as you have saved it, you're good. So we're going to do, okay, let's stop. KRZ files. If I wanted to edit that KRZ file of the snowman, I would go load existing cross-stitch design, and that's where I would go to actually load the KRZ file itself, and it would bring it up in cross-stitcher, and then I could edit it. So, but this time we're going to again do load a picture for a new cross-stitch design, do next, load a picture. The other one I want is a little acorns, and we're going to do OK. We're going to do next. Again, we're going to zoom into the top, and I'm going to make sure that I get my outside edge is on that black line or just outside of it. I'm going to come down to the bottom and over to the right. And again, I need to get that in. I want to get it in as close as I can. Again, if it's off a little bit, you can probably get enough of what the design needs to be, because all this is in the background. It's not really anything else. We're going to do next. I'm going to leave the cross size as 2.5. I'm going to do my width. And now this time, I definitely need it to be larger than what that was. I can do proportional, and this I think is 59. And this one's 59. So if it was a rectangle, I would probably do not have proportional checked. I would actually do that. Now I'm going to zoom in really close so I can kind of see if if it looks kind of blurry. So I see the gray. And yeah, this is off a little bit, but I'm not going to worry about that. It's going to be so close to what we're going to do. It's not going to hurt a thing. If you wanted to go back and start messing with those little lines a little bit more, you could do that. I'm not going to bother. So again, now this is going to fit in the 150 by 150 hoop. So I'm going to do finish. And I now need to start loading colors again. Again, the blue is always the default. So let's do, just so that you have this, it will be a little bit easier if you can kind of fade this background just a little bit, because we're going to be picking on some colors and it's going to kind of fade in. So I'm just going to come over here. I'm actually going to fade this out just a little bit. Not a whole lot, just a little bit, so it's not quite so stark. You could also leave it out. It's up to you, but I found that if I didn't have it quite so heavy, I could actually see things. The other things I can do is I can actually change some things over here. So if I want to have a grid showing for the whole thing, I can do that. This is going to be a highlight every 5. This is going to be every 10. Or I could say no grid. You look and you see there is a grid. That grid is actually the grid from the picture, not from the grid of what you see in your design. So I'm going to go back over here and I'm going to select, keep that where it is. I'm going to go back home. I'm going to go to design properties. I'm going to make sure that 2.5, 59, and 59, this is the size. And I may not want it. I may want it a little heavier. I don't. It's not that big a deal. It is to a point, but the heavier it is, the more thread it's going to take. So just keep that in mind. Unless you're using a 30 weight thread, then you want to keep this smaller. Just keep that in mind. It's also going to impact how big this cross size is. If you want this really, really teeny, you're going to make this really small too. So just remember that. We're going to do okay. So the only colors that are over here on the right hand side is blue. So what we're going to do is we're going to actually, this design actually has colors. So I'm going to zoom in the upper left-hand corner. Sometimes, if you notice, remember when the snowman had a letter T, and it had an O, and it had a couple of different things like that. You couldn't do that with this. I'm not going to worry about this because you're going to see a trick we're going to show you when we start getting into this. So the first thing I want to do is I'm going to go in and I'm going to start adding colors, but I'm going to use the little eyedropper. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to select the eyedropper. So now it's going to go and it's going to find the closest thread within your database of threads that's going to be that color. So I'm just making sure I've got the tip of the eyedropper in that brown there. And let's make sure that this is Robeson Anton Rayon 40. It's going to come up with the closest one possible. We're going to do okay. Pretty simple. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to do green is my second color, which is this little dot here. So I make sure that the tip of the eyedropper is there. I'm going to do okay. I don't care what the colors are because when I actually stitch this out, I'm actually going to put my own colors in. So now we need an orange. Oops. Eyedropper. I'm going to pick on one of the oranges. I'm going to do the eyedropper. And I'm going to pick on the terracotta or whatever color you want to call it. I'm going to pick on that one. I'm going to do this, and then I have a tan color. So what I have here is some colors that's going to allow me to create my design. The backstitch that's here is also green. I've already got that in my list. I don't need the blue. I'm going to actually, the blue is selected. I'm going to come down here to the little art palette, and I'm going to actually select the one with the trash can and delete it. And I have it deleted. So now this is one of the really magical kind of things. It kind of works like Encore. So it's automatically going to do things for us. We are going to go to the multiply multiply tab, and I'm going to select use multiply. I'm going to pick, you have all kinds of choices. If I just want to have it repeat from this side to this side, you select this one. If you want this to repeat from top to bottom, if you want it to repeat in four corners, but the one we're going to pick on is we're going to say reflect 8 ways. You can actually change where this is going to be. We're not going to get into that. Maybe in an advanced class we can do that again. So the first thing we want to do is I've got the dark brown selected over in the right hand side. I'm going to go home. I'm going to the create tab, make sure full cross is selected, and I'm going to start by doing this. So as soon as I selected this, it automatically put them there and down there. So like I said, it doesn't matter that this is off just a little bit. It's automatically going to place them where they need to be. So I'm going to go back up. See how those grids are off? Doesn't matter. It's fixed itself. So I'm going to go and I'm going to drag this, and notice it's doing all the way up. I made a mistake. So all I have to do is do my right mouse button and select. Okay, those are gone. When I stitch this out, let's see if I've got all the dark browns. I'm going to do some more dark browns. I've got some dark brown here in the acorn. And if you notice when I do the center one, it doesn't reflect, it reflects everywhere else, but it only does here. There's not a left and a right side. So again, I'm going to do here. I'm going to do these guys, this. All right, so I've got those all done. So now I think I've got all my dark browns. So let's go and pick on the green. I'm going to do the backstitching last. So I'm going to pick on the green. Now, if you notice when I do this again, right mouse. I'm going to do, I did it again. I'm going to do some more greens here. It really speeds up the process by doing it this way. So now I've got the dark brown done and the green done. So I'm going to pick on the orange. One of the things I found when I was stitching this out is these little, I missed the green one, didn't I? Go back, green, grab that guy back there in the corner. When I was stitching this out, because I have turned my thread cutter off, which is one of the things I do recommend when you're doing cross stitch, is between here and here and there, there's a jump stitch. Here, there. If you had it on, it would really make a mess. So what I recommend doing is thinking about that when you're creating a design is you probably want to make that just a straight line instead of putting all those little individual ones in there. So I'm going to do that, and I'm going to go all the way across. I messed up, didn't I? All the way to there. I'm going to use my right mouse button and get rid of those. But it sure speeds it up, so now you won't see those jump stitches that go from one to the next. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to do this guy here. I need orange along here. I think that's everything. And you know, that little color inside there, I think it's supposed to be one thing, and I'm not sure what it's supposed to be, so I'm just going to make it whatever I want to. I'm just going to make a dark brown there. All right, so now I've got the orange done. Now I need the terracotta or red or whatever color you want. I'm going to do these. This just speeds this up so quickly. Is that all my red? I think so. So now I'm going to do my tan. Undo. Sometimes you're going to find that things like to do things weird. Just make sure you come back over to the create and hit full cross. So I'm going to just do these. My mouse sometimes gets stuck. It's kind of one of those things. I'm going to go up here. There, I got some more here. there. I think that's all of them. I'm going to come in and I'm going to actually view my design. I don't think I missed anything, but yes, I did. There's supposed to be something right there in the center of those. See, it's one of those things you're just going to learn to do. And I've got that one done, and I think I have everything else. I'm just going to go back to the View tab and slide that back a little bit more and really have a good close look. The only thing I don't have, I think, is probably the backstitch, right? All right, so let's go back to the Create tab. I'm going to make sure green is selected, and this you're going to do standard backstitch. The difference between these two is one lets you kind of draw your line however you want it. This one is going to have to follow the grid squares. So I'm going to zoom in really close to this one because I've got that pretty light. And again, I'm going to go back over to view. I'm going to darken it up just a little bit so I can see it just a little bit better. So what I want to do is I need to get this done, and I'm going to go create. I've got standard backstitch selected, and I'm going to start selecting. But if you're not careful about where you select, it will put it in the wrong spot. So I'm going to make sure there. Again, this is the only time those grid lines really, wrong place. You're going to find sometimes it's going to want to go in the wrong spot. So ignoring this, which is my drawing, I'm going to actually click on the line. Because those are the lines that make the design do what it's supposed to do. Up. Go in the corner. Go in the corner. This is actually going to go up. I think that's it on that. And I'm going to come over here. Oh, again, paying attention to the actual grid lines is where I want to pay attention to, not actually, because I'm off just a little bit in my drawing. Oop. And that should be it. I'm going to zoom out. And there's my drawing. If I wanted to add some more, I could do that. I'm just going to leave it like it is. When we're finished, we're going to do save as, and we're going to do acorn this time, or whatever for video. Do save. I'm going to do export. Oop, wrong one. See? Export. Color sort. Okay. Export. And I'm done. So that's basically everything there is that we're going to learn about today. I'm going to show you one little thing that you can do. So I'm going to close out of Cross Stitcher. I'm going to actually, I have my software open. I'm going to do insert, and I'm going to go and grab one of those, that snowman. So I'm just going to go and grab the snowman for the video and do it open. I'm going to change my hoop size to something smaller because this is really, really big. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to go and I'm going to grab, I think, the 100 by 100. Metal hoop's fine, doesn't really matter. I'm actually going to create, see, I've got that little cute little nose there. All right, so with the design selected, I'm going to go to the frame tab. I'm going to, and it doesn't matter which one you pick on, square or whatever, and I'm going to do apply. I just created an applique with the snowman stitched out. So what it will do is actually stitch this all the way around. Now let's say I don't want to do that one. I'm going to do a different one. I'm going to come down here, and I don't want it necessarily to be a applique. I actually just want a frame. So with the design selected, I can select that. It's going to set up the margin, do apply. It's going to put candle wicking stitches. And I want a different kind of candle wicking. I'm going to come down here. I like these better. I'm going to actually pick on this one here. See, it has a little running stitch underneath it. And I'm going to do OK. And I have that on the outside edge instead of what that other candle wicking was. I could also, I'm going to do another one. I'm just do a right mouse and I'm going to do motif line. And let's just pick on something from the Viking. Oh, let's pick on crosses, just because we did a cross-stitch design. zoom out so you can see what that looks like. So that's how simple that is. So I could actually put that on a card. I could do it on fabric and attach it to the card. I could do a couple of different things. So hope you enjoyed it. I hope that you actually do some of this, the cross-stitch designs, and actually stitch them out, because I would love to see what you do with them. Thanks for watching.